going into the Chicago boxing, the origins of your participation in the sport here locally, how did it start? Where did it begin?
I opened up a gym 11 years ago in the Bridgeport area with Sam Colonna. Windy City was closing down, and I was going to open up a little gym and kind of do my thing. And Sam and I got together. We discussed the possibility of maybe opening up a boxing gym. And everything seemed right. I felt like I did some things that Sam doesn't do, and Sam does things obviously that I didn't do. So I think it was a perfect match. We opened up Chicago Boxing Club. It was a great gym. It was open for about just over 6 years, and after that we parted ways respectfully. And I opened up Body Shop Boxing Club, which is in Pilsen, and Sam Colonna opened up Sam Colonna Boxing, which is on the west side of Chicago.
And that's one of many hats that you wear, obviously, being the owner of Body Shop Boxing.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, as your members come into the gym, and they come in for the workout, and they come in for training, is that where you start eyeing the talent that exists in your gym, or did you go out and start recruiting outside of those members that are coming into your facility to train? How did that work?
Back in the day when Sam and I opened up a gym, that was our discussion. We weren't sure if we wanted classes or not, right? For everyday people,
Right.
So I thought it was a good idea that we have classes, and originally it was meant for financial participation to help fund the gym, and eventually it's the predominant source of how I still now pay for rent, things like that. But I kind of use the gym, the classes, as like a scouting system. If anybody wants to fight or think about fighting, I put them in my class for 3 months. They get through the classes, and I think that they're ready to start training as a fighter. I mean, it's hard to get someone motivated if they can't do 5 push-ups, and it's a little discouraging for them. So I'll put them through the system, 3 months, get through 3 months of classes, and then we'll take it from there.
And the demographics, Rick, of your members of the gym who come in there, what are the demographics like? Women, male, what is the ratio? Is it primarily male, or do you have just as many women boxers coming in to take classes and to train at your facility?
I think back at the old gym that Sam and I had, I think it was about 85% men, maybe 90% men. But this time around I wanted to make sure that I wanted to keep it 50-50, but that's very difficult. Right now I would say my gym's at 55% men and 45% women. I think in today's day and age, especially with female boxing growing in popularity, I think we're getting more females in the gym than ever before, for sure. For me, I can't speak for any other gym, but yeah, for sure for me. So,
and
45%.
I'm sorry. And the members that are coming in, are they coming in because they're boxing hopefuls, people who want to pursue the sport on a more serious level, or are they coming in more for physical training, physical buildup, stamina, cardio?
I honestly think like anyone who goes, it's kind of like anyone who, goes just to look at cars is curious to buy a car, right? So
Great analogy.
I think like anyone who shows up to a boxing gym, even if they say they don't ever want to fight, in my opinion, there's always that, maybe. So I think if you make, it's all about comfort. If you can make someone feel comfortable and safe, I think that they'll be open to the idea of fighting. So I think a lot of women come because they're curious,
right.
And then once they see the atmosphere is not as aggressive as they see on TV, not as rugged and beat up as they see on TV and like these movies and things like that. I think they start opening up a little bit, and once they see other women competing, especially some of the female competitors I have,
right.
They see that it's doable and it's realistic, and the female boxing movies are not really out there except for like $1 Million Baby or you know what I mean. So
right.
But yeah, nowadays it's definitely, I see more women in the gym than ever before.
So when you spot a diamond in the rough, such as Jessica McCaskill, how do you handle that? How do you approach her to talk to one of the people that are in your gym to try to inspire them to see if they want to take it seriously and take it to another level?
Well, you know what? It was weird with Jessica. Like, she came in with already, a couple fights, maybe like 5 fights, 6 fights, something like that. So I knew she fought before,
right?
And she had told me she was looking for a trainer. So that's a little different. But as on the other side of it, as a coach, you're kind of afraid that you might not know what something special looks like.
Okay.
But when you see it, when I had a fighter years back, Vicky Williams, and when she never fought a day in her life as far as competitive. And one day she hit the heavy bag, and I saw the way she hit it, and I was like, whoa, I have something there. It was kind of like that with Jessica as well. Once I seen Jessica spar for the first time, I knew she was for real, and I knew that I might have something.
Right.
So I figured, let's explore it, check it out, and then after her first fight with together as a team, working her corner for the first time, I think I knew that she could potentially be, something special.
Absolutely. So Jessica came in then with experience.
Yeah,
and with great skills, with experience. And
I wouldn't say great skills. No disrespect to Jessica. She was like aggressive brawler type. And I wanted to slow down the aggression and make it more like her, like a boxer puncher type. You know what I mean? Instead of just like a bulldog, like a.
Right.
I didn't want her to maul people. I wanted her to like do it smart.
Excellent.
So she's done well. We've done well together so far.
Regarding a most recent venture that you were part of in London, England, with Jessica, who fought Katie Taylor back in December. It was a very close fight. It was a great fight for Jessica because it propelled her name into the women's boxing scene,
for sure,
making her a very prominent women's boxer. Close fight, as I mentioned. Many people thought that she could have easily gotten the decision as well. What's been the buzz since that particular match?
You know what? Like since then, the fight was in December. Since then, we had fights scheduled and 2 fights scheduled, and they fell through. We were supposed to fight in the Bahamas. We were supposed to fight in Chicago, and then we were supposed to fight in the Bahamas. Both fights fell through, not because of opponents or not because of not on our end. I think promoter situation and weather situation in the Bahamas, a tropical storm, things like that. So we've been a little unlucky on that part of things. I think that as far as the Katie Taylor fight, I think Jessica fought the way that I asked her to, and I think that was the strategy to beat somebody with boxing skill. Make it rough, make it rugged. Someone like Katie, who's a phenomenal boxer, isn't used to things not going her way.
Of course.
So I think hitting on the break, making it rough, tie her up, punch her, things like that made Katie Taylor a little uncomfortable. Made Katie step out of character. Hit her on the hold, lose points. Jessica rocked her a little bit. Katie Taylor, and her team and things like that. They're good people. Eddie Hearn's a class act, and I appreciate Eddie Hearn for letting us come out. It was a good fight. It was great. But as far as I think a lot of people had it closer. And I watched the fight 50 times, maybe more. And I had us, including the point loss and everything. I had it at a draw.
Right.
That's what I had it at. And some of my boxing friends or whatever, they thought Jessica won.
Right.
So I go back and watch it all the time, and I would say a fair assessment is we either lost by a round or it was a draw. And I would love to do it again. I don't think that Team Taylor would want any part of it, but we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. We're looking for big names and big fights. So.
And I know how you felt. Thank you for describing how you felt after the fight and your thoughts. What about Jessica in terms of her confidence level after having this magnificent fight with Katie and performing at a very high level and holding her own with a champion? And considering Jessica doesn't have as many fights under her belt as Katie and still came out and gave a fabulous performance, what's her confidence level now? What does she want to do?
Well, you know what? We were going in that fight a 200-1 underdog. I think the odds were something crazy, right? So Katie Taylor has slightly over 100 fights and amateur fights, and she has a gold medal. Jessica has 26 amateur fights. So obviously people didn't respect the matchup. But I think anyone who watches that fight or goes back and watches the fight and watch it again, and without really listening to the commentary, because the commentary was so skewed to Katie, but I think everybody would have been impressed. And I know Chicago was proud of Jessica, and I feel that Chicago embraced her and showed her more respect after that fight than before. But Jessica's confidence is up there. I know for sure Jessica feels that she belongs at that level. I believe that she belongs at that level as well. I think that, there's other fights out there. Like if we fought anyone Katie Taylor fought, we would beat them. Easy. There isn't anyone that Katie fought that was even a threat to Jessica. But, there's some big names out there, and we would love a rematch with Katie, but, we respect whatever they decide to do. I don't think that will happen. And, Katie's a little bit older too, so I think, they're trying to move her quickly as well. But, Jessica's happy, she's strong, she bought a house.
Right.
So, I mean, to go from being homeless to buying a home, a lot of that had to do with the Katie Taylor fight. She used that money to put it down on a home, and congratulations to Jessica.
Absolutely. She's certainly a success story, of
yeah,
course.
No doubt.
Certainly a success story, and she's, perhaps, is it fair to say that she is the notable fighter in your camp, in your group? She's the one who has reached this national or international, I guess you could say, international status in terms of exposure.
For sure. And you know what, and anyone who, I like to do things a certain way, and Jessica has listened to 99% of the things that I asked her to do. She did, and that led us to the Katie fight. And it's been good, man. We've done very well. We have 2 Golden Glove titles. We fought for the WBA title. Shout out to the WBA. They gave us an opportunity. Eddie Hearn gave us an opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you to Eddie. But it was good. And she's definitely one of my better students, if not my best student currently right now. So we'll see what happens.
And is she itching to get back in the ring?
Yeah. She's we're both itching to get back in there. So. There's like I said, there was offers from, there was fights that fell through, but
Gotcha.
we did get a call, an opportunity from a bigger name in the female side, someone overseas, I don't know if I could disclose the name, but we did get big opportunities again, but I like to get some wins and before we take another risk, and I think that's.
And what you mean by risk, Rick? Forgive me for interrupting. You mean a big challenger, somebody who's got perhaps a lot of pedigree in their boxing background or a lot of experience for that matter?
Yeah, no doubt. And the offer, I shouldn't say offer, the emails that I got from this promotional company represents a very well-known female fighter. So, we have that fight. We can get that fight, I should say, and I'm excited to do the fight, but I think we need 1 or 2 tune-ups or 1 or 2 fights before to get us to that point to where we can actually beat that person.
Absolutely.
So you can hear some big news coming out soon. So
well, we look forward to it. Where do you see women's boxing going? As you know, in the 90s, it seemed that was the peak of women's boxing with Christy Martin, Layla Ali, early 2000s. But there seems to be a void now because it doesn't seem it's getting the exposure that it was receiving back in the 90s. Today, where do you see it going?
I definitely think it's on the upswing. I think there was a gap, maybe 2007 to 2013 or 2012, where it was kind of like dead. But I definitely, in the U.S. and I definitely think it's an upswing. You got a lot of big names coming up, and the Olympics had a lot to do with that. So now you got Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, some of the people who medaled. Those are the bigger names. Those are the people that are getting the camera time, if you will. So, I definitely think in the next 3 to 5 years, I think you're going to see mega fights. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. Clarissa Shields versus whoever decides to come up, at that weight. But I think you're going to see those big mega fights in the near future. Maybe not in a year, but maybe in 3 years. I think those could be really big fights. I think it's going to grow. It's going to grow as big as the guys' fights. That's what I think.
And you believe there is an audience. There is a TV audience for women in contact sports. We've seen it in MMA. Mm-hmm. And do you feel that we could also see it in boxing at that level? The way we're seeing it in MMA with women's contact sports, with women's fighting? Yeah,
it usually takes one big star, who has likability, who has knockout power, who is charming, to a degree.
That always helps, of course,
yeah,
right?
For sure. And I think, they a lot, like UFC, I think they bet on Ronda Rousey so much that when she lost, it kind of let all the air out of the balloon, and with Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, they're doing really well right now, and they have a following, and they're both on different sides of the planet,
Right.
But so that brings a lot more people. But I do think there will be an audience. I think there is an audience. I think that if they pick their stars correctly, and if their stars live up to, what they're supposed to do, make big fights, be well spoken, handle themselves correctly, I think that they'll just attract more fans, and I think that's the way to do it. It's just like anything else, you know.
What else you got going on with other boxers besides Jessica? And I know we've kind of have focused on Jessica a little bit, only because she was a headliner in this big fight that took place in London with Katie Taylor. Male boxers, do you have anything going on with any of your male boxers?
I got some amateurs. I have a heavyweight who's doing really well. He's undefeated. He just won the Golden Gloves, and he could be something. It all depends on what they want to do. You know what I mean? I have Summer Lynn. Summer Lynn's just turned 17 years old. She's a national champion, and we could see Summer, possibly turning pro in the next 2 years. You know what I mean? So, I like to put my kids on the fast track and move, especially in those weight classes, because heavyweights, they don't need a lot of fights. It's dangerous to put a heavyweight in there 100 times. But you get him in there, get him the right tournaments, and you move him properly. He gets to see everything, and we can move him a little bit faster. Right.
Summer Lynn, what weight is she? What weight category is she fighting in, or will she fight in eventually?
Yeah, she's a little high right now, like in weight. She's fighting at 152, but we plan to go back down to 41, or 40 in the. And
pros. Is Jessica working with her? Working with her? Are they working together?
Summer's only worked with Jessica, so it's like. She hit the lotto like first time out. You know what I mean? So she came with us to London, so she saw the experience of going to the Lion's Den, if you will,
of course,
and see like all the fans against you, to be on the B side, as they say. But I brought her with me so she could see it, firsthand, like that she will have to experience that at some point of her career, and we'll see what happens with Summer,
Rick, regarding Summer, she's up and coming. Can you explain the process that it takes to bring up someone like Summer, who's young, and eventually get them to that level where they become a prominent woman boxer, as Jessica McCaskill is?
Well, like I said, I took Summer to London. I post videos of us training. I keep my followers or supporters, if you will, informed about who I'm working with. So I do post stuff about my heavyweight. Matt Hambrick or Summerlin or things like that. So the people who support me or support Jessica, they see them coming up through the system, how we do our thing. And, some of the people who are fans of Jessica, if Jessica decides to retire or whatever we decide to do going forward, I think, the Summerlin picks up some of her fans and whoever's hot, the team picks up some of their fans. And I think. Yeah.
But you don't want Jessica to retire yet, right?
No, not at all. We definitely want to be around for a few more years.
Of course.
Maybe 5 years. I don't know. We'll see. How everything transitions. But yeah, so like now, even Summerlin, I make sure that she starts responding to people who support her on social media. Show that she's a social person. She's a good kid. She's a good student. She's going into her senior year in high school. So we want her to finish school, and then we'll make some decisions on what we're going to do next.
Is she a local product, also from Chicago?
Yeah, she's from Oak Lawn. So yeah, the Chicagoland area. Yeah, she's from the southwest suburbs, and so she's extremely likable. Good kid, well spoken, and she's part of the team, very, very, very much part of the team. And so like I said, we try to get her physically ready. We'll take the right tournaments, and so we could see every the lefties, the righties, the best, the worst, and everything in between. And then we'll make a decision, what to do next. And not every promotional company is good for, let's say, a Hispanic or an African American or an Asian or blah, blah, blah. I see certain promoters tend to work with a certain ethnic group more than others, or their fan base is there, or whatever it is. I think Summer would do well with anyone.
And if I can touch on that briefly here, because you pointed out 3 attributes: good person, well spoken, likable. Rick, that's you. That is you as a manager, as a trainer, and you're a hot commodity here in the boxing scene in Chicago. How are you dealing with perhaps other promotional companies pulling at your sleeve saying, "Hey Rick, we got some stuff here, we want to work with you"? How do you handle that? Because you're currently working with an organization, Warrior Promotions, I believe. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Okay, you're with them, but because you're becoming very well known and respected, and you've been so for a long time, but now with Jessica's success, and looks like Summer's perhaps going to be on the same path as Jessica, I'm pretty sure you're getting calls from other promotion companies or promoters that are wanting your services. They want to team up with you. They want to partner up with you and with your fighters. How do you handle that?
Well, definitely my phone isn't ringing off the hook, but it's ringing, and I like to have fighters, like I said, like I feel like.
And the phone may not be ringing off the hook, but I'm sure your social media pages. I'm sure there's people commenting and saying, "Hey, Rick, can we get together? Can we talk?"
Right. There's no doubt about it. I mean, like I said, I think for a certain, like, let's say. A certain promoter might have 5 female fighters at 130 pounds. Like that might not be the best situation for someone like Summer, but another promoter might have, 3 or 4 stars at 140 pounds. That's where I would tend to go to. You know what I'm saying? Unless a deal comes in from someone else that, I didn't expect. But, I tend to go where my fighters would fit in their pool of fighters, where we can actually do well and build a fighter, around their situation as well as our own. It's got to be a match.
Would you say your style has attributed to your success in terms of being very transparent with your boxers and not hiding anything? Almost, it's a partnership that you form with each boxer that you have, that you're managing.
Absolutely.
Would you say that's contributed to you being respected by your fighters, by your boxers, but also respected by other promoters as well, because they pretty much know what they're getting when they deal with Rick Ramos?
Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, right? But there's some promoters that love me. There's some promoters that are like, man, he kind of does his thing. Like he doesn't, I see things a certain way. You know what I mean? And some of the promoters have never fought. Some of the promoters they just want to make fights, and some promoters use the fighters and move on. I treat every one of my fighters, and you can ask them separately, like a business. So if I train Ramsey, like I'm the CEO of Ramsey. Right. I'm the CEO of Summerlin. I'm the CEO of Jessica, and I try to make every business successful. It's not.
You're looking out for their best interest.
Yeah,
obviously.
Our best
because
interest.
Their success is your success.
Right, absolutely. So like for me, like I never understood managers or promoters, really managers who take on all these, fighters. They're just trying to make a dollar and use these guys. Like, I don't need the money like that.
Right,
and hopefully I never do. But I think if you do it the right way and treat every fighter like a business, a separate business, then you could do certain things. There's some guys that I don't even think I could sell. Like I don't even think I could market. But there's some people that are easy to. Jessica's well spoken. She has a degree. Like she's a white collar. She works for R.J. O'Brien. So like we can do a lot of things together, Jessica and I. There's other fighters that I have to groom a little bit more. But again, like I treat everybody different. I had a pretty solid platform on how I do things, and it's worked. I've had not the best talent, but they were extremely marketable and probably the best ticket sellers in Chicago, and fighter promoters like me because I could sell tickets, and our team and my platform sells tickets by itself.
Rick, how long have you been involved in the sport? Because obviously you're very successful. You know a lot. You know how to read talent. You know how to find talent. You know how to market talent. How long have you been involved in the sport of boxing?
Ah, man, since I was about 12, 13 years old. I started at Italian American Club, but 11 years. I've had a gym for 11 years. So I see the fighters that come in and out, and I'm, oh man, if I had that kid, I would have did that. If I had that girl, I would have did this. There's some fighters out there, man, I wish I had.
Right.
But some of these fighters sign really bad contracts and they can't get out. It would take me a ton of money to get them out of it. Right. But, I really feel like that, I see, especially Chicago. I'm not talking about like every market. The Chicago market needs help. I need a guy like Eddie Hearn to come in, and help me build this thing.
So is there hope for the Chicago boxing scene, Rick? What are your thoughts? What do you think? It seems like there's a lot of challenges. People like me who are just viewers of the sport, who watch it, don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes. And I can only imagine somebody like you who understands sort of the, just the politics of it too, as well, behind the scenes with boxing and people not getting along. What's the likelihood of boxing here in Chicago elevating to new heights?
Well, it first and foremost is I think it starts in the gyms. I think gyms have to work together with certain guys. I work with any gym who is willing to work with me. I work with them. Sam Colonna has been this tremendous supporter, and he was a business partner of mine, and now we do he's part of Team McCaskill. His experience and his advice is top of the line, world class. So I ask Sam questions that I probably wouldn't ask a lot of people, but we need gyms to work together. We need fighters to work together. I really never a big fan of two Chicago guys or two Chicago girls fighting. I was never a big fan of that because I know the promoters are, because it's cheaper for them to put that fight together, and they can make the maximum amount of money. I get that, but being on the other side, I just don't like two Chicago kids or whoever, it's guys or girls fighting each other. I don't see it. I don't like it. I never did, and I think what Chicago needs is somebody with big money who sees a long-term vision, because it's not going to happen and it might not happen within a year. It might take 2-3 years to start seeing the ticket sales rise.
Rick, closing remarks. Anything you want to share to your public and to the followers of Toe to Toe Boxing?
I just want to say thank you for all the support. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we'll have some big news with Jessica and some big fights coming your way. So I want to thank Chicago for all the support and everyone in the boxing community.